You've had a whole first, season. Now you're into your second. Like last year, super fun, nerve-wracking. You got a second season, which is huge these days because I feel like it's hard to sometimes get that second season.
Yeah, it was, thank God, folks tuned in. So thank you guys very much for watching. We were on in the summer. We had, 4 weeks out of the 10, we had 2 weeks of the Olympics, 2 weeks of Republican or Democratic National Convention. So we had a lot up against us, but the ratings were always great. The folks tuned in and watched, and we got a great response. So we're just excited to get a second opportunity. Every day there's a blessing.
What is it about the show? I mean, I think it's just, it's real.
Well, we could ask the 12 people here.
Do you guys have questions, or?
It's okay, good. Keep going.
Oh, no, what is it? What are we going to expect in season 2? I was wondering if there's going to be any love interest, because there wasn't really, any of you guys talking to girls so much in season 2.
There's a lot of hardcore sex in this, so it's a lot of Game of Thrones. You see my ass. There's dragons.
Well, I mean, I think that you're teasing the fact that maybe you and Melanie might get together eventually, possibly, or maybe that's just as an audience watcher, that's what we want to see happen.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I think it was, look, what you'll see this season is, the first season, it's always a crapshoot. You don't know what characters, what jokes, what directions the characters are going to work in, what stories are going to work for the characters. But as the season went on in the first season, we figured out directions that all these guys and girls felt comfortable going in. So I think we hit the ground running, maybe our 4th or 5th episode, and I think we really hit our stride the second season, and I think the show is incredibly funny. I'm really proud of it, and I was proud of the first season, but I'm excited for people to see what we have this season coming up. Every script gets better and better.
Do you have a favorite episode from the season, any of you guys?
I have favorite scenes, or just the ones where I get a lot of dialogue. That's it.
We could just do this interview in front of a mirror.
No, there's this really great episode where you and your mom, who played by Christina Ebersol, get to sing. And I was thinking while I watched that episode, like, if you guys just, I assume most of the songs were written there, like the writer said you're going to sing these songs, but then part of me wondered if you guys just had a lot of fun on set that day and sang a bunch of songs.
Yeah, because she's, just so good at singing that we were just messing around, and we came up with some stuff, and the writers write everything. I mean, we're stand-up comics, so we're used to writing our own jokes, but we'll write like a the or a than, or we'll put a comma somewhere there. But they do everything.
Because you're doing blocking.
What's that?
You're doing blocking. You get up and go, should I deliver this line at the bar? And perfect.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so we'll talk to Roy. You guys are all stand-up, so is it nice not having to write the material for once?
Is it cool if he doesn't get the microphone now?
It's totally cool, whatever you want to do.
I think for me the transition was trying to figure out, like, as a stand-up you can make adjustments in the moment, but when you're acting, you're part of a bigger dance. So for me that was probably the biggest transition.
But trust me, his people are good at dancing.
Yeah,
So.
a little rhythm. But it's cool because, bastard. When Vince Vaughn was EP and Rob Long and those guys, they give us a little bit of elbow room. And, we're cool to kind of run, a couple suggestions up the flagpole. So we'll shoot it as written, and then they definitely give us a little bit of wiggle room to do something that we may want to try. And sometimes they get to laugh, and sometimes you look like a dumbass.
Can I ask you real quick? You're sponsored by Tito's. It's handmade vodka. How do you hand make a liquid?
Well, I can show you.
I don't know, but you
Holy fuck, man, that was a softball. That's in the next script.
Do you want to hear something amazing? The last name of that guy Tito, who lives here, his last name is Beverage.
No way.
I'm not kidding you.
His name's Tito Beverage?
Mm-hmm.
Change his name?
No, like...
Well, Wetzel's last name is Pretzel as well, so...
That's his real name.
Wow.
You want the Wetzel Pretzel? Or Tito Beverage?
Next question.
You guys have a lot of you've had Chris Leon, who's also a stand-up, I'm assuming is kind of like in your group of guy friends and stuff. While I watched that episode, I did have a question, knowing that Vince Vaughn is also involved in the show, if his part was originally written for Vince Vaughn, or if he decided to just speak like Vince Vaughn that day on set, or if I totally missed something because it's the way he spoke, maybe, I don't know. No? totally missed that. Listen to him. He sounded like in Swingers when he's telling them all to go, and I thought Chris D'Elia was just like fucking with us all.
Right.
No?
Well, it was...
In the Five Musketeers episode.
I remember. There's only 10.
I'm telling the audience.
I remember. It actually, Vince was going to do that role, and then he had to start filming the internship. So he took off, which is out this weekend, so go see it. It's awesome. You actually just stay here after the screening and buy the ticket downstairs. But yeah, Chris came in and filled in, and I don't know if that's a choice Chris made or whatever, but Chris is, we all know him from stand-up comedy. We try to get as many stand-up comics on the show, even, background actors that you'll see on the show, or guys that just have one line or two are touring stand-up comedians that we're all friends with. So I'm excited to even have Billy Gardell back this season, and it's one of my favorite episodes. We literally just filmed it. It's a hockey episode, and Billy Gardell and I did stand-up together. We toured for a long time, and we're both from Pittsburgh, and he's Mike on Mike and Molly, if you guys don't know. And it's an absolutely awesome episode.
Yeah.
Will there be other stand-up guest stars that you've or how far are you guys?
This week we have one of the guys from The Big Bang Theory who's awesome. So we're really pumped about him. He's not a stand-up, but he's super funny.
Who?
What's that?
Well, there you go.
Oh, you can't say it's cool.
No, yeah, we can.
Well, Roy just did. Hey, Roy, snitches get stitches.
That's right.
Just snitched on Billy Gardell.
I know, you did set
announced though.
You did set quite a
It was already announced.
snitch tone.
Yeah.
They said we couldn't say anything about Gardell.
No, that's not true. No, it was announced.
Oh, okay.
Nobody tweet anything.
Put me on the email list, and I know some shit. If y'all would put me on the loop.
Yeah, we need some more reply alls. Yeah. How the hell are we supposed to? That's why we looked at you like Vince was going to play the role. I can't answer anything except about myself. I'm really tall. I'm from upstate New York. I dreamed of being a fisherman.
And he does not like ass humor.
No?
Well, let's not get into this, Steve. Jesus Christ.
If you want to know his Achilles heel, there's a true story. When we were on a USO tour, we did a USO tour over the holidays. Owen got a little car sick, and
Snitches get stitches.
and I discovered that Owen's weakness, his kryptonite.
Thanks for telling a group of strangers. So anyway, it's Kamal from Big Bang Theory. Piece of shit.
He doesn't like farts. He doesn't like shit your pants stories, which I think are hilarious.
You don't even like when guys say it? Or just girls or anybody?
Call me crazy. I know I'm the fucking crazy one here, but shit's gross, right?
Yeah, it's gross, but it's fucking funny. See, his thing is he thinks boners are funny. He thinks dicks are funny.
Inappropriate boners are funny.
There's no such thing as an inappropriate boner.
Please moderate.
Boner is just a dude that's ready to party.
Moderate
I'm
us.
just thinking like how you're doing stand-up and you're, in the back of these comedy clubs all the time, and I'm thinking there's a lot of shit jokes and like.
Yeah.
Not when I got the mic.
How? Yeah, but
I cleaned it up there.
Oh, Christ. We made him, basically, on the USO tour, we made him throw up. We made him throw up, and as a man, that's a victory. I'll take a poll. I'll conduct a scientific study right now, okay? Clap your hands after the option that you agree with, okay? Option A, will you laugh if you're walking down this main street and you round a corner and there's a homeless guy just taking a shit? And he's grimacing, maybe he's moaning, maybe he's got a high-pitched, I don't know, but he's just laughing
The
at the
high-pitched thing, that's...
Okay, well, no. That's scenario A. So would you laugh at that by round of applause? Or option B, would you laugh if you rounded the corner and just saw a homeless guy?
No, that's a sexual deviant.
I know it is.
That's a different situation.
He's got no pants and his flaccid penis is just there. Where you go, oh my God, that's disgusting.
That's not the same thing.
It is the same.
No, it's not.
Seeing a dick or seeing someone shit.
A homeless guy masturbating in public is scary, obviously. No one's going to argue that. So he's just holding his dick as a trophy? Like, why would a homeless man just...
These are the things that make you laugh.
This is the type of stuff we argue about on set.
I know, like, picture, what would you...
Like the scene where Ken's at the table, for those of you that don't know about TV production, everybody in the background is fake talking, but sometimes we cheat and whisper real shit to each other. And the scene where Ken's
And all he does is go shit, butts, shit.
He's going shit. But you can't break your facial expression. We argued at the table one time whether or not Grimace from McDonald's, we argued for 20 minutes whether or not Grimace was male or female.
Speaking of grimacing, if you saw a homeless guy like, just grimacing, taking a shit, that would make you laugh, right?
Well, of course it wouldn't. Of course it wouldn't.
Okay, Steve, I have a question. So your humor, like, is there every time there are jokes that you want to get on the air that, you know, is shot down by the network?
Well, one of my favorite lines in that episode got cut.
Which one?
It was when Ken keeps calling Brian Doyle fat. And then Brian Doyle just looks at Ken after he calls him fat for the second time and goes, "Oh, I'm surprised you can see it with those eyes." And I got a huge laugh.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I got cut. And then the other one that got cut, which you won't appreciate, you might want to leave the room right now, goes, "How do you
I can handle it. It's just not.
was when Ken goes, "This is a great job, I love it, and you never have to leave this soul-nourishing place." And then that's when Brian Doyle Murray looks at him and goes, "Well, I just farted. Toodaloo." And he just walks off.
Well, crickets. I didn't know the crickets.
In the studio audience, they laughed.
Yeah.
Is that a thing, though? Is that often, like, jokes get cut?
Yeah, I mean, you only get 21 minutes, so
Yeah, some good stuff gets cut.
it's got to stand story.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about how you guys fake talk during, you know, the things. How many glasses have you had to dry this season?
Can I tell you something real quick? These
Yeah.
guys fake talk. The hardest part for me is when they have a funny line is to fake laugh.
Wow. What a piece of shit this guy turned out to be.
Well, the good thing is, Owen, there's only 12 people here witnessing this.
Yeah, it's true.
Is the show going to move from the bar? The past 2 episodes, you guys did go to other, like,
We do.
sets?
We do.
Oh, you do?
We do an inner space episode.
Ooh, good.
Where Owen gets shrunken down, and he travels to Rosie O'Donnell's colon.
To answer the question, yeah, we do move around a bit, but I think the important thing about our show is that we respect the bar as a character. As it's organic. It's part of what the show is about. So we don't want to just be up the street. It's a fucking drinking show. We can't.
Are you sleeping right now?
Yes.
I'm answering the question. Why are you talking like you're doing the intro to a Keith Sweat album? Holy shit. You guys excited to go see this?
Roy naps. I don't know if you guys know black people, but they can fall asleep in 10 seconds anywhere.
It's like that's their mutant power.
It's insane.
If he was a black man in the X-Men, he'd be called Nappy.
Yeah. Like, I need white blood machines. I need fucking melatonin. He just literally needs it anywhere. He's out.
Moderate.
Wait, oh, it's funny. They're laughing. They don't need me. Okay, Twitter's a big thing, and you guys all have Twitter accounts. Like, how much pressure is there?
Well, that's the one with the most followers.
Oh, okay.
I love Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
I do.
Do you feel pressure, though?
You didn't even finish the question.
Yeah, I know. I want to do a dig on fucking shit McGee over here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, like, is there a lot of pressure, though? Like, there are some people that are, like, super involved in promoting their show and promoting, you know, themselves, and is there a lot of pressure? Like, Twitter's now become this thing that you have to do when you have a TV show, especially, I assume, being stand-ups, too. It's just now, is it, like, do you feel that pressure at all?
Yeah. Am I allowed to, have we announced that we feel pressure yet?
What's that?
Have we announced that we feel pressure yet?
Well, I think the important thing to remember about social media is
We gotta tell the story. We gotta tell the story. Roy's dad was one of the biggest.
Oh, tell them the story.
Oh my God, this is the best story you'll ever hear. Yeah, we do feel pressure.
Oh, yeah, you feel pressure about Twitter.
You gotta tell no, you guys are gonna lose it.
This is good. So you can't sugarcoat it or softcoat. Tell them the
story.
Yeah.
All right, so my dad used to work.
But you have to do it at right pace.
Hold on, yeah. Jump up.
But you got to talk like this. You can't go, my dad is from. You got to like do it in a white.
Not on a back porch drinking lemonade in Alabama.
Trying to be professional.
All right, tell the story. It's great.
All right, so my dad used to live in Chicago back in the 70s. He worked at this black radio station, WVON. And my dad was the news director, and he
WBLK.
WVON, Voice of the Negro. That was the name. I'm serious. That was the name of the station. It's like back in the late. It was like a black CNN, basically. Back in the
Somewhere in the
60s,
kitchen.
70s.
Somewhere in the kitchen, a black guy's clapping because he heard it.
So my dad.
None. Why is there no black people here?
Let me tell you a story where I'm stuck working with these fuckers. This is basically the point of this story is why I'm a comic. So my dad hires a guy by the name of Don Cornelius as a reporter. Don Cornelius comes on. He works a couple years under my father. He gets an idea after seeing American Bandstand. He decides to do a show. He goes to my dad and he goes, I don't know how black people talk back in the business. Dig this, Roy, cat daddy, yonder dig, check it. I need some ducats to get this show. And so my dad loaned Don Cornelius $1,000 as part of what would become the pilot for the television show Soul Train. So he shoots the pilot, he can't sell it. So he's stuck with some shit that he can't make money on. In the meantime, he owes my dad $1,000. So my dad jams Don up in the hallway one day, and he goes...
In the 70s, that was like $7 million.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he goes, where's my money? And Don Cornelius is trying to buy time and shit. Well, dig it, cat daddy. Just give me a couple more legs if you can shake it, or whatever the fuck they say. And so my dad goes, and Don Cornelius is trying to sell my dad on becoming a partner. He goes, to check it, Roy, the train of soul is leaving the station soon, and you're going to be mad if you miss this train, and I'm giving you an opportunity to just jump on board this train. And my dad grabbed Don Cornelius by the fucking neck, and he goes, motherfucker, don't nobody want to watch niggas dance for an hour. You best come up with my cash. And Don Cornelius gave my dad his money back in a waiver. My dad signed away any shares to any ownership of the Soul Train empire. And
$100 million easy. He already signed away.
Right, I'm a comedian now.
Yeah.
But you couldn't watch Soul Train in your house when it was
They
there.
made him watch Solid Gold his whole childhood.
That's a horrible trade-off. That's like having a transformer and then taking away and giving you a GoBot. It's like, fuck. I had a fucking transformer.
Are there any questions in the audience? Oh, good. I
Why are
see
there more people here? I don't know.
Yes. You obviously tapped into your network of stand-up comic friends for the cast. Did you also do that to fill out the writer's room?
No, the writer, I don't know anything about writing television, sitcom writing. I don't know. So we're fortunate enough to have Rob Long, who's our showrunner, our head writer. He did Cheers for many years, and he brought in a bunch of assassins that worked on Frasier and Ellen and Home Improvement, and these guys are all pros. So, we get to sit in, we get to improv lines on the set, because we tape in front of a live studio audience, so we'll do every scene 2 or 3 times, sometimes 4 times, 5 times, and that's where the improv lines come out. But Vince is probably our best uncredited writer, because he's on set every episode, and his improv lines are always hands down the best. Better than... But this,
As stand-ups, do you guys like it that you're performing in front of a studio audience as opposed to like a single camera show? Do you feel like that helps you?
Definitely, yeah. It gives you that energy that we're so used to. And you can time the jokes better when you can hear when they're laughing. And we'll tape at 3 o'clock and just run it straight through like a play and get the feeling of where people will laugh. And then we do it again at 6 and we have a better idea with a new audience. So yeah, having a live audience is a lot of fun. And a lot of people on Twitter will be like, it's fucking laugh track. I'm like, no, it's real.
it is real.
I want to reply to every single person, be like, it's real, and just have a picture.
So it's you sitting on a toilet bowl.
It's real. Wow, I hope we get fucking canceled. So tell everybody. I'm just kidding.
Why do they think it's a laugh track? Just because you guys last year was kind of the first time when live studio audience?
Because so many other shows do it. So many other shows do laugh tracks. Thank you. This is my microphone holder, by the way. It's a ball of shit. Only me and Puff Daddy have this type of shit. But yeah, so many other shows do laugh tracks to the point where it's just an assumed truth of all sitcoms, and it's not true at all. I mean, there's still shows that take right now that do laugh tracks that are multicam like us, and they're fucking up the,
But we have 4 stand-up comedians, and we got Christine, who's won 2 Tony Awards, Dan Laurie, who's always doing theater, live theater. So, there was something special about performing in front of a live audience, and the 4 of us have all been doing stand-up for so many years. You feel comfortable there. Plus, I didn't want to do a single cam show because I feel, there's right now especially, there's 2 types of camps in comedy. There's the alt scene, and then there's kind of guys like us who tour the country and go to all the improvs and the Funny Bones and tour Mid-America. And I grew up loving traditional sitcoms in front of live studio audiences. I felt that there's more of an energy to those shows. There's more of a pop to them. And I wanted our show to be a part of that. So I'm really excited ours is a multicam. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, I went through a little bit of mainstream shame where I realized that I like Friends and like Cheers, and I've tried to be alt, and I got thick glasses and
grubby facial hair.
Yeah, grubby facial hair, and I tried to like the jokes that no one understood, and I realized that alt just means bad. It's kind of like alt medicine, like bamboo doesn't cure cancer. So
alt comedy to me is just a bunch of indoor cats.
Yeah, they don't kill us. They don't. I mean, because the only reason we're being dicks right now is they're such dicks to us. Like, you have no idea. We'll go to like UCB places and be like, "Yeah, we really want to be part of it." They're like, "Get out of here, mainstreamers." They're like dicks. Yeah. What the fuck? You like to watch football? It's like both my parents are college professors. He has Superman shit all over his bedroom. He's a grown man. No, but we're nerds. Necessary. That's a fact. He has dolls.
Some of that stuff is funny. I think some of that stuff is funny. It just speaks to such a specific part of America that I think that's why it doesn't show, it doesn't reflect in the ratings, whereas what we do is definitely much more mainstream, so I think the numbers are much better.
And I don't see anything wrong with mainstream. It's like, what's wrong with trying to appeal to the most amount of people you can? I never understood why you're trying to make jokes only hit with, like, your friends. Like, why do they do that? And then they're mean to us. Because we go shopping.
Mean? I don't think...
They're mean to me, bro. Legit kind of mean.
Really?
Yeah, that was saying.
Well, they know you don't like poop humor. That's why.
Jesus Christ.
No, I have friends that do alt comedy. I like alt. There's stuff in the alt comedy scene.
I don't want you to name names, but like, who are you talking about, like, in alt comedy? Not so
like. Let's talk about who's popular in terms of alt comedy. I mean, it's Aziz, it's Nick Kroll, it's Pete Holmes, Mark Maron, and these are all
for the most part have podcasts, huh?
Podcasts, but Maron's got a show, Pete's got a show coming out.
Really got a show.
These are all guys that are performing, that are known, that get critical acclaim. That they get a lot of press, and I like all those guys. I perform with those guys. I enjoy their company. But a show like us will not get any notice or acclaim, but we'll get the numbers. So I think there's a trade-off in being mainstream, but I'm not trying to be mainstream for mainstream's sake, or trying to be more appealing, or being broad for the sake of attracting viewers. It's just, that's where I grew up, and that's what I like, and it's just me. I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. So I'm trying to be as honest as I can in the work that I do, and my stand-up that I do, and the show that I'm proud of and represent, and the show makes me laugh, and I'm, I hope that more people enjoy it too.
No, I like Holmes and Kroll and those guys.
No, you're telling you. I heard it. You heard the line in the scene.
No, that's not the crew I was talking about.
Is there another question?
Thank you. That was a great question. You got something?
Oh, she has a question.
She's joking.
Can you talk a little bit about how you got the show together with being a little bit more of a background story from the way you grew up into having your friends cast and all that kind of stuff? Because it seems that comics now are kind of moving into shows. Were you part of that track, or did you have your own kind of, this is what I want to do, and cast friends and get parts written for them?
Look, this whole thing, the reason I'm here, these guys are here, the reason this is on a screen is because of Vince Vaughn. That's the bottom line. He's been a great friend to all of us. He's been a great friend to me. I met him through Ahmed Ahmed, who was one of the first guys I met when I moved to Los Angeles. Ken Jeong was probably the second guy I met. We've been friends for a long time, and Vince is the one that suggested, hey, you're doing stand-up, you're running yourself ragged, why don't you write something for yourself? So I wrote this show, and I was a stand-up comedian. 50 weeks of the year, I was traveling. I was getting ready to film my third-hour special. And I wrote a show about what I was going through at the time in my life, which is wanting to be home, wanting to be with friends and family, because I didn't have an identity. I didn't have that. And that's ultimately what the show is about, and I think it's what provides a more meaningful and a life that truly does matter is being with friends, being with family, having a sense of home. And I did it, and when I wrote Roy, Owen, and Ahmed as types of characters that I'd like to see at the bar. I never thought in a million years I'd get to cast all three of the guys that I actually intended to write the show for. But it's a testament to TBS and how awesome they are to work with, that they would trust us and say, okay, yeah, we'll let you guys work with your friends, and we get to. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. When Steve's not shitting himself.
Is there another question?
When did I never shit myself once.
Well, no, but I was just doing your thing.
Yeah.
I have a random question about stand-up. When you guys first started...
Do you want to hear a funny shit your pants story? No, it's okay, good. But what?
No, I just, when you very first started, like, when did you decide you wanted to be a stand-up, and then how long did it take you to go do your actual first open mic? Do you have any remembrance of that?
Do you want to do this?
Because I'm assuming you think you're going to go do it, and maybe you think about it for a couple months before you actually go do something.
My curve was 2 years from identifying it as something I wanted to do and actually getting the nerve up to go in and do
Good
it.
for you, buddy.
I can't imagine you not having the energy to want to pursue that, because you're
you're such a ball day of sunshine.
Jesus.
Serene, man.
Yeah, I found it.
I've never suggested that a friend start doing cocaine, but I think it would be a good call.
2 years, 2 years.
My dad's a public speech professor, so I just, and I played piano since I was like 2 or 3 years old, so I was doing live performance forever. And I saw this dude in New York a long time ago, like maybe 12 years ago, and I thought he was so funny, and I didn't know him yet. I was like, stand-up's fucking awesome. So I started to get into it. Really, he's one of the people who made me want to get into stand-up, which is pretty interesting. Welcome. And then, 12 years later, he's just trying to make me puke in Iraq.
Well, I never intended to be a stand-up comedian. I finished college at Kent State in Ohio because my grades were so shitty in Pittsburgh that I couldn't get into a school in the state of Pennsylvania. I had to go to Ohio to go to college. And I finished that. I moved to New York City. I walked up and down Broadway, and the job I got was at Caroline's Comedy Club just to get a shit job to make some money and make ends meet. And I watched stand-up for 4 months, and I decided I would try that. I did it at Stand Up New York. This was in 1997, and I just, as soon as I walked off stage, I said, that's what I'm doing the rest of my life. I don't care if I ever make a dime.
Yeah, because the thing I was like about Steve's comedy, and at the time I'd watch comedians, and they're always so like self-hating. Like they'd be like, I hate myself, I'm a fat fuck, like all these comics. And then I saw Steve, and he just had this like confidence, like he wasn't being mean to himself. He was just killing, and I thought that was awesome. You don't really see that often. Like a lot of the big guys did that, like Eddie Murphy and people like that. Like they're just out to have fun and make the crowd laugh, and not just talk about how miserable they are. And I think our show kind of does that. Like nobody's like hates themselves. Like we like being around each other on the show, so I think that kind of translates well. Except for Ahmed.
He missed his flight or something.
He missed his flight. He missed his fucking flight to get here.
But he is an Arab flying from D.C., so
that's a 4-hour check-in process. Yeah, there's a 4-hour process for him. Funniest thing is we're in like Oman, and he just gets waved through, and we are like unstuck.
So in the Middle East,
it's like, oh, buddy, come on. And then like with us, we're like, wait a minute, do you not have bomb? It's like the opposite. That's weird. It'll be like forever. They're looking at our passport, they look at him, it's like gold.
Before I forget, we're performing tonight, you guys, so we want to invite
Cap City Comedy Club, y'all.
So will he be in for tonight for the show?
Yeah, and he's awesome. We're just making sure
and if you've ever seen a stand-up comedy, just know this. His stand-up comedy is an act of terrorism.
So, guys, can I just say something real quick? We spend way too much time together, so like we're like mean to each other. We really like each other, I promise. I look at some of you guys are like, Jesus. Like we love each other. We're just around each other like 100 hours a week. So except sometimes we get the sibling fight mentality where I'm not even here to defend himself. I just called him a piece of shit. And I apologize because he's extremely funny and he's one of my best friends. So.
If you bring your credentials, the show will be free for you guys. It's at Capital City Comedy Club tonight at 8 o'clock. We're on Research Parkway. So come out and see us do what we do. That would be very... I'm sorry. Come out and see us do what we do. It's going to be so much...
There you go.
I'll be so excited.
There it is. Yeah.
He has a BET suit where he comes out in a purple velour suit, and he constantly pats his head with a towel because he's eating so much because he just ate a plate of ribs.
And he keeps fucking the stool.
Yeah, you
That's like this.
All right, so tonight, Cap City Comedy Club, you do the street name, which is really impressive research.
Yeah, I played it.
Well, I know, but still, why? I wouldn't know the street name. Anyway, Cap City Comedy Club, everybody can watch Sullivan Son on TBS Thursday night, and it's 10/9 Central.
Yeah.
9/10 Central, 10/9 Central.
Do Centrals just kind of know their deal now, or do you have to always say that?
We always have to remind him it's
You guys are Central here, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone says it's out of time, they're like, oh man, is it like military time? Like you just get to know it? Or do you have to say 10/9 Central? Do you guys know that you're
The only reason you have to say that in the first place is because Mountain Time fucks up everything. So
how does Mountain Time?
Because Mountain doesn't start with because 10 Eastern, it doesn't start 8 Mountain. It starts at 10 Mountain.
Yeah, it's like 10 Eastern, 3 a.m. Mountain.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Just so all the dudes in Idaho that are making math can watch our show. That's Mountain Time, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
That's a closer. Who's watched the show?
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
We have an autographed script here. I don't know if we could do something for it or.
All right, fellas, who's got the biggest dick?
Who gives all their pants on command?
Dick out loud, big laugh. Who's got the biggest dick? It's the script.
Who gets the? Well, then how is a woman going to win the? Unless Chaz Bono's here.
That's a good point. Looks like a fella's gonna win the script tonight.
What was the game plan coming in?
What's that?
Hand it, were you just going to hand it maybe to someone? Or game plan coming in?
We just had it.
Line it up, fellas.
This is actually this week's episode. And there's a bunch of notes that are scribbled on the
No, but it's not released yet. It hasn't been released. It's not released yet.
Jesus Christ. All right, you're Asian. There you go.
Nice.
See, if the black girl was in front, you would have given yours to.
Oh, the funniest thing about
Only talks to black people on set. Only. Swear to God.
Because they only come in every other week. I want them to feel welcome.
He's got a black guy voice. He's like, with us, he just talks.
Yes, that's true.
I'm not gonna say normal because I know that's ethnocentric, but with us, he talks normal. Yeah. And then as soon as there's a black dude around, the shit gets menace to society in fucking 1 second.
It's about communicating in a fashion that's effective to the person you're communicating with. You would
I don't go to Taco Bell and go, I'll take a burrito. You say I'll take a burrito because I'm a fucking white person.
grandma the same way you talk to an 8-year-old, the same way you tell, hey little
My grandma's dead.
well then wake her ass up and say something to her.
You know when someone dies, by the way? You shit your pants because all those muscles relax.
You also get hard.
That's a true story.
When you die, you also get hard.
No one laughed.
Yeah, because every guy was like, maybe I can fuck one more time when I'm dead.
Should we end on that story?
Huh?
Should we end on that story?
To close the show tonight, what I do is I shit on the stage and I roll on fire like Jimi Hendrix and I go like this. That's how I close the show.
Yeah, everyone gets hepatitis, and that's why you're getting sued for that, because everyone got hepatitis last time you did it.
I don't know how to follow that. So,
He's never done it. He was joking. Sorry.
thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for
ATX TV Festival.
Thank you for having in. Central Time. Appreciate it.